episode 2 of Me and the Universe. And before we get started today, before we get into our topic, I just really want to express real appreciation for everyone who listened to the first episode, who even listened to it for 5 seconds. If you listened to the whole thing for 5 seconds, whatever you did, if you liked a post, if you shared it, if you commented, if you subscribed, I thank you. I mean, it feels so good to know that something I'm saying resonates with you. Something I said, you took with you into the next moment. And that's all I can say is that I'm blessed. And thank you to everyone who called me, texted me, whatever have you, and just shared, what they liked about the first episode. I cried a little bit when y'all told me, how you felt about it. So I'm so appreciative, and there's no words to describe, how blessed I feel right now. So without further ado, I'd like to get started if y'all are okay with that. I mean, we're getting on the spaceship to a new universe today. So I hope you're ready for it. Buckle your seatbelts. And before we get started, I have a checklist. Do you have your notebook and pencil if you need it? Do you have an open mind? Because that's all I'm asking you to have. You don't have to have a pencil. You don't have to have a notebook. You don't have to know everything in the world. You just have to come with an open mind, baby. That's all. And mind you, when I say that, you can have your own opinions about anything I say. That is your right as a human being. But you live in a world where there's 20 other million opinions. So you got to have an open mind. You just got to have an open mind. Don't be closed off to new information, please. So, our next item. Where's your water? Where's your cup of water? Where's your jug of water? Where's your water bottle? Take the cap off, pick up your cup, and let's take a swig together. Cheers. I love me some water today. Now, I know y'all are dying to know what we're going to talk about today. And this topic, I'll give you a little context. 2019 and 2020, 21 were some of the heaviest losses that I have ever experienced, next to losing my grandfather and my father when I was younger. But within a span of 3 years, not even 3 years, within a span of about a year and a half, I lost around 6 or 7 people that were very close to my heart, including my grandmother and my brother. Oh my God, okay. See, this is what we're talking about today. We're talking about grief, and we're talking about living through it, because life doesn't happen to us. Life happens through us, right? And as you can see, I'm in my PJs. I'm in my PJs today because we have to get comfortable talking about, this kind of stuff. We have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. We have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay? And this conversation, it's always very uncomfortable for me because I like to act tough. I like to put on this persona of I never cry. I'm tough. I don't let things get to me. But I'm a human being. Like, I'm not made of stone. I'm not made of ice, no matter how much I like to appear so. I'm still a human being. I have emotions. And those emotions are tough sometimes, right? And we have to come to terms with that. So I invite you to get comfortable with me to talk about some uncomfortable stuff. And before we do that, I'd like to introduce you to a new exercise that allows you to get present in the moment. And this is something you can do in the car, on the way to work. You can do this in bed. You can do this sitting down in a classroom. You can do this in the middle of a conversation. Honestly, it doesn't take too much. So I'd like you to close your eyes. I'll close my eyes with you. I hope you close your eyes too. Close your eyes. Now put both feet on the ground, flat on the ground. This allows us to feel connected, and it allows us to feel stable. And it grounds us, really. It grounds us, connects us with the earth. Loosen your shoulders. You don't let them touch your ears. Loosen your shoulders and unclench your jaw. Unclench your jaw for me. Now, with your eyes closed, I want you to breathe in deeply and exhale 3 times. And when you inhale, I want you to suck up all the air you can and then just let it all out. So you're going to do that 3 times. Ready? Open your eyes. Okay, I hope you feel a little bit lighter. I know I do. I feel like I'm really truly ready to talk about this with you right now. And I hope you're ready to accept, what I'm sharing with you. So without further ado, let's get started. When I came across this, or not when I came across it, I discovered a new perspective on grief. And it's healing. It's a new perspective, other than using other words than grief, because I feel like grief has such a stone feeling to it, such a finite feeling of you're just grieving, that's it. But it's not just that, right? We're in stages of healing. We just lost something. We lost something as huge as, for instance, my grandmother, or we lost something as, not that this is least, but we lost, compared to losing, a loved one, we might also lose a friendship. We might lose a favorite earring. We might lose a favorite piece of clothing. We might lose a pet. We might lose a job opportunity. We are healing. We are grieving, and then we are healing through those processes. You lost something, however small it is. I mean, you can go through the stages as quickly as 5 seconds. If it's, you lost the pencil. I lost the pencil. Dang, I lost the pencil. Now I'm angry about it. Okay, well, I'm angry about it, but I still need a pencil. What am I gonna do? You got to work through it. We're working through it. It's a theory applied to different circumstances is what it is. So I did come across this beautiful chart that I will be sharing on my Instagram and my YouTube at Me You in the Universe, and I'll put the little @ down here for y'all. So the first stage is denial. Obviously, denial is the greatest barrier, often the longest leg in the road to recovery is the journey of unveiling and acceptance. And denial, it looks different in all stages. I'll use an example. In this instance, I'm speaking through, losing loved ones, losing family members. And when I got the call that I lost my brother, I couldn't believe it. I was like, no way. There's no way. I was like, no, this is some sick joke that you're pulling on me. I couldn't believe it. Seeing all the posts on Facebook, and there was no way that, my father's son, my brother, I lost. Like, there's no way. And denial goes straight into shock. I think they go hand in hand together. And shock is, you feeling numb, anger, pain, rage. You feel shattered, right? And you have to acknowledge your vulnerability in that stage. Don't shut it down, right? Don't shut it down, because we have to meet reality on reality's terms, right? We have to. We have to. There is there's a podcast, or well, it's a show on Netflix called The Midnight Gospel, which is also a big inspiration for me to create this show myself. And I took that line from that show, meeting reality on reality's terms. Because if we continue to live in a fantasy world and avoid our emotions and avoid, recognizing our vulnerability and trying to act ice cold and tough, we lose our humanity. If we don't meet reality on reality's terms, we end up losing our humanity. It's a long, the two are pretty far apart, but what I'm saying is that we just lose that, you know what I'm saying? And after, you've acknowledged your vulnerability, which is also segueing into the next stage of recognition, because recognition and acceptance are our greatest liberators. Now that you are aware, the once stagnant waters, the once stagnant whatever's in you can now free flow, right? And that takes me into something, y'all, this is so, my goodness. So in that stage of recognition, I encourage you to fully feel what you are feeling. Fully feel what you are feeling. I'm tearing up because there have been so many instances in my life where I felt like I couldn't feel. I didn't have the time to. I just didn't have the time. I didn't feel like I was strong enough to come back from that. And that's okay. That's okay. I feel like we learn that with age. I mean, when I lost my father, I was like 12 or 13. And from that time up until I was about 20 years old, losing my grandmother, I had learned between that time that it's okay to just burst into tears because you lost someone that you loved. It's not embarrassing. And I'm not saying that, if you're in a supermarket and you feel a wave of emotion wash over you, that you have to start crying right there. Or if you're angry, that you have to start expressing that. No, I'm not saying that. We also have to regulate our emotions. We have to understand them. First, we have to recognize what we're feeling, put a name to what we're feeling, and then regulate those emotions. And I'm not saying that you have to, control your emotions and you need to feel this way at this time. You need to feel this. That's not how our body works. I could stub my toe right now and get angry. And in the way I regulate that is, I can cuss a little bit and say, F this dresser, you stubbed my toe. But then I have to move on. I cannot let my emotions consume me. I cannot let my emotions control me. And that also goes into, anger issues as well. I'm not a very angry person, but when I'm irritated. And then, there's very few things that can get me to that level of anger of, just the outburst. But by naming it and allowing myself to feel angry, but not letting those emotions control me, I get through that. I can get through being angry. I can get through being sad. I can get through being disgusted. I can get through a number of emotions by that process I just described. So we're going to move on to, just something that I just kind of talked about, which is acceptance. And healing is a journey that ebbs and flows, right? One moment you're up, the next moment you're down, but you have to be gentle with yourself. That's what I mean by feeling those emotions. You're vulnerable. Be gentle with yourself. Don't beat yourself up because you're sad. Don't beat yourself up because you're angry. It's okay to feel that way. It's okay. No one can tell you that it's wrong to feel how you feel. Okay? That's one thing I'm going to say. Don't let someone tell you how to feel. Because I don't let no one tell me how to feel. If I want to be sad, if I want to be angry about something, I'm going to be angry about something. So, when we name it, when we recognize it, when we accept it, we have to release. Right? We have to release because we cannot let this consume us. We can't let it consume us. Recognize that while you may not be where you want to be, you can release the idea that you have to be anything but here and now. That's what I mean by being present. That's what I mean by being present, right? Because sometimes we let go through body movements, knee jerks, coughing, you're coughing and some you have to go spit. That's your body releasing stuff. That's your body saying, okay, I'm done with this. I need to let it go. I need to let it go. And those tears I just released a couple minutes ago, I'm still going through this healing process, right? I just recognized that I was feeling sad. I accepted it and I had to release it. And I released those tears, right? I had to. And other than physical movements and all that good stuff, we have to have outlets to grief. We have to have outlets, paint, I'm not saying distract yourself because we're always healing. But once we reach that final stage, we have to continue to live life. We have to continue to let the healing live through us, and our actions have to, portray that. Now, releasing. Now we're reflecting. We're making the space to witness it all from a third person perspective. Take a step back from the story, breathe deeply, and reflect. And what that looks like for me is just backing up and celebrating my grandmother, celebrating my father, celebrating my brother, celebrating the 4 friends I lost to gun violence, which is why that's a whole nother story for another time. But I take a step back and I think about all of the amazing and incredible life experiences that I've had with those people. And I can't help but laugh and tear up a little bit because I had some of the greatest times of my life with those people, right? So in those moments of, looking back and celebrating the lives of the people I've lost, I feel empty sometimes. I feel like I've lost someone I love. It leaves a hole in my heart. But that, that version of myself I have to let go of because I am not empty. I'm not. Like, they're still here with me. I am their greatest embodiment of life itself. So they are not lost, right? They're only lost in the physical form. But they're still here. I look outside and they're in the morning, at night, I see a sunrise, I see a sunset, and I just look and say, my dad painted that for me. Or I see a bird, I see red robins all the time. That was my grandmother's favorite bird. And I know she's here. I know. And if you're shedding some tears with me, it's a beautiful thing because we're in this together. We're in the same spaceship. We're in the same universe right now, so it's okay. This is a safe space. Now, we move on to transformation. now that we've felt this heavy of a loss, now that we've gone through the stages of denial and shock and recognition and acceptance and release and reflection of that, we've been transformed. Right. What doesn't kill you really does make you stronger. Because like I said, that space and time between losing my father and my grandmother, there's a lot of stuff I learned about how to regulate my emotions, about how to understand, how I'm feeling, uh, you know, healthy outlets. Please don't push down what you feel. Please do not mask how you feel with smoking or drinking, because guess what? The next day, it's still going to be there. Just like with problems, don't try to smoke or drink away your problems, because they're still going to be there. They are still going to be there. You have to deal with it head on. If you run from your emotions, they will follow you wherever you go, and they will come out in the most unhealthy ways. I promise you. I promise you. And my dad referred to it as the miserables. When I would be moody, whatever have you, he referred to it as the miserables. He wouldn't let me stay in that. He wouldn't. He would give me my space. Feel what you're feeling. Okay, you're going through it. That's okay. Go through what you got to go through. But don't bring it to me. Don't bring your miserables to me. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying that you can't share problems with a friend who is willing to listen. Please ask permission to dump on someone before you start dumping your emotions. But that's not what I mean. I mean, when you're in your miserables, don't pass it on to someone else, right? Don't with your actions, with your words, don't make them miserable too. Because if I'm irritated, if I'm interacting with someone and I'm treating them rudely because I'm irritated, that's what I mean by spreading the miserables. I didn't have to do that. They did nothing to me. They didn't deserve that. They don't need to be in the miserables right now with me. I got to deal with that on my own. And so, this has been a beautiful conversation. And I am so blessed to be able to sit here with you and talk about it. And I'm going to hit you with, I'm not going to hit you. I'm not going to hit you. I'm going to give you 2 last pieces of information just for you to chew on. And it's this: letting go. Because at the end of it all, at the end of whatever this all is for you, we have to let go. We have to let go. But when I say let go, I mean, like, do we ever really let go? Or do we accept reality and live through it? That's what I'm asking you to do. Not to allow your emotions to consume you. Understand what you're feeling through the stages I just described, and live through it. Because if you're avoiding it, if you're taking the smoking, if you're taking the drinking route, you're avoiding it. You are not living through it. Because the only way to get over something is to get through it, babes. Say it with me. Life happens through us, not to us. Thank you. Now, this last one. It's okay to not be okay, baby. It's okay. Not every day has to be the greatest. Not every day will be the greatest. But you know what you got to do? You got to live through it. You got to live through it. You can go home. You can have a bad day and go home. But when you wake up the next day, leave yesterday in yesterday. Don't bring yesterday into today. Leave that mess back there, babes. That mess, that's not you. Back there, whatever that was yesterday's you. Today's you is not yesterday's you. Now, I'll say it again. It's okay not to be okay. Just don't let it consume you. And I thank you for having this conversation with me today. And I hope I've left you with some nuggets of gold. And I hope to see you again for the 3rd episode. Have a great day.